Let's make lemonade. Okay. Let's go to work.
That's the signal! Go!
Six!
It's beautiful! Mother Nature just pissed her pants, dude!
Start your day with a jolt of energy and no-holds-barred opinions. This is The Rush, where Travis Justice and Ross Peterson bring you bold, unfiltered, and uncensored takes on sports, life, and everything in between. Buckle up and let's go.
It is the Rush Radio Show, powered by Willis Automotive at therushradio.com. If you are watching on YouTube right now, go ahead and give that channel a subscription and like this video. The more you like it, the more it gets recommended, and we like likes because we're insecure males that need validation, and we get that through a thumbs up.
Hey guys, just popping on for a second. Give us a like and a subscribe, please.
Yes, it's
that like
that
and
simple.
subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. It's that simple.
We're just going to hang out here for a few minutes till a few more people hop on.
You can follow us on X at Rush Mornings, and, of course, like our Facebook page. Our Facebook page will become a lot more active, I think, once they let us go live on Facebook. You know, Meta's got all these new rules. You got to wait 60 days to be able to go live on Facebook. You know, we are rule followers. That's the way I look at it, Ross Peterson. Nobody follows the rules like you and me, right? I mean, that's when they say, when you look into the dictionary, rule followers, Ross Peterson and Travis Justice are the first two names that pop up when it comes to rule followers.
I tell people this all the time. I follow the rules that I don't think are stupid. Aren't we all in that? Aren't most of us like that? Aren't most of us in that position of like, yeah, I follow the ones that aren't stupid.
Yeah.
If I roll up to a stop sign,
okay,
and there's nobody around.
Oh my God, I know where you're going here.
It's 2 in the morning. You're rolling up. There's no cars moving, and you roll through that stop sign. You don't come to a complete stop. Did you just break the law?
Well, if you lived with my wife, the answer would be yes. Because
if I'm driving down the interstate and I'm in the passing lane, I'm going 60 miles an hour, and a car next to me is going 58. And suddenly there's somebody speeding up behind me. Not even, and I'm not talking about a cop or nobody with sirens. It's just a car that is flying up behind me. And I don't want this guy flying up behind me like that so I speed up a little bit and I speed to get past this guy so that I can clear some room so that this guy can continue his journey. Did I just break the law?
No, you were going with the flow of traffic. That's the way I look at it. But the stop sign thing you brought up, Ross, is a huge contention in my house because my wife insists that I rarely, if ever, come to a full and complete stop.
Guilty. I rarely, if ever, come to a complete stop.
Now, if there's a backup, it's a four-way stop. I come to a four-way. I come to a complete stop.
If there's another car at all, I try to make it very clear.
Yes.
Like hit the brakes and kind of so that they see. Okay, you're.
But otherwise, I'm with you. If there's nobody there, if I am rolling just a little bit, that's not breaking the law. I will say a rule that gets broken a lot, and this is my huge pet peeve. I mean, to the point where, I go into like in-car road rage is the improper right-hand turn when you turn on to a right turn into traffic and you don't stay in the lane you're supposed to be in.
Yeah. Not staying in the lane closest to you, you're saying.
Yes.
Okay. Because we have these situations, we have places in Des Moines, Travis, where it's legit no right turn on red because our bridges are crowned that go over the top of the freeway, and it's dangerous. You cannot see traffic that's coming about 30, 40 miles an hour over the top of the freeway or whatever. We just have certain places that's the case. But we've gone too far. We have one intersection. It is 7th Street headed south through downtown. You get off the freeway. There's your own lane. when you turn right, so the bridge that comes over the traffic that comes over the top of the bridge is a 2-lane bridge.
Okay.
What they come onto is a 3-lane road. But you're not allowed to turn because of the crown on the bridge. I pull up every time and I'm like, let me turn. But I don't break that rule.
You don't break the no right hand turn on red.
No, because that one, I don't know why. I feel like I don't know. That for some reason, I think they're going to get me on that one.
You know when I do it is probably at night when you can see headlights. You know, like, let's say you're getting off. Let's say we're getting off the 42nd Street Bridge.
When
right?
you feel safer, when you know that there's nobody coming over. I see what you're saying there. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, well, who's gonna pick me up here? Yeah. What's the most common traffic law you break? Would it be speeding? Would it be the do not complete a complete stop? Failure to blinker? People who don't use their blinkers.
That'd probably be me.
You don't use your blinker?
I mean, not that I don't use it. You're asking which one I break the most often. I'll tell you what, it used to be for a long time, dude. I hate to even admit this. I was a slow adapter to the seatbelt law.
Oh, really? You know, I probably was too because I was one of those libertarians. You can't tell me that I got to wear a seatbelt. I've not been wearing a seatbelt since I went on a family vacation back in 1977. We had 7 people in like a Pontiac Bonneville, and my seat is the back window.
Travis, I sat in the back of a station wagon, facing the wrong direction. I think there was something about our generation of that where... Dude,
we're lucky to be alive.
Have you ever seen that classic, like there's this TV... man, see, we need to. This is why we got to get to the point where we can get Justin here as a producer, so we can go, Justin, pull up that video up. There's this classic 80s news story from like West Virginia, where they're enacting the seatbelt law, and this dude goes up into the mountains and he's doing man on the street interviews, and he sticks his microphone and camera inside of cab of a truck, and the mom has like a baby sitting next to her. Nobody's in a seatbelt. And she's like, I just don't think I like the government telling me what I should be able to do. And then the next dude, Travis, has a 6-pack sitting next to him. And he's like, listen, I don't think that the government ought to be out here telling me. Marlboro Light is banging in the...
I was a slow adapter to the seatbelt. Now it's the first thing I do when I get in the car. It literally is
me too.
Just strap in.
Doesn't your car... I mean, you have to have your seatbelt on or the car is going to beep at you.
Ding, ding.
As annoying as that is, I do like that, I don't know. So a seatbelt used to be my thing. I used to be a speeder. Try not to speed much.
Yeah, I'm a speeder on the interstate. Like between Omaha and Des Moines, I know I can go about 78, right? And 77, 78, that's 7 to 8 miles per hour over the speed limit. I can get away with that and feel pretty comfortable with it. Hawkeye Guy asked, does anybody pay attention to high beams anymore? Well, here's the deal, Hawkeye Guy. When you go buy a new car at Willis Auto, you will get a car most likely that has automatic beams on it. So you'll be driving down the road at night, and your Willis Auto car will just, those low and high beams just go automatically because of the sensors. It's a beautiful thing. I didn't know that existed until I rented a car. The last time I rented a car, I'm driving. It was between Atlanta and Savannah, Georgia. And I'm like, look at this. I don't have to worry about high and low beams. It just does it for me.
Yeah. They're so smart, man. Cars are so smart. And then it's shocking to me, Travis, how much tech you can get in a car for under 30 grand. Like I was for a long time of that, and for a long time I think it was. If you wanted a car that had a lot of tech, you had to get like a Land Rover. You know what I mean? You were going to get a high-end car to get a lot of tech in it. And now you can, call Willis Auto. They'll help you out. They'll hook you up.
Yeah, here's the rule of thumb. Like when you see something that's like in a Land Rover, a Lexus, a souped-up Suburban, that runs about 90 grand, just know in about 5 years, that's going to be standard technology in your low-end car.
Well, Trav, here's another thing I learned, and not to geek out on cars, but my buddy Ryan at Willis Auto had taught me this a long time ago, because I remember seeing like a Consumer Reports, and the cars that have the most problems are the highest end cars. Like problems per car, per mile, the way that it breaks down, issues, just issue per mile, per car. It's all the high end. It's a lot of times, I shouldn't say all, but a lot of times it's these high end brands. So I called my buddy. I'm like, hey man, why? This is probably 15 years ago. He's like, Ross, think about, and I'm driving some 1989 Ford Ranger, right? He's like, Ross, think about your 1989 Ford Ranger. It's got like 9 moving parts on it, okay? It's got 9 things that can go wrong with it. A Lexus has 40,000 things that can go wrong with it. So those little problems are just that technology, little tiny issues happening. It's not like the big major issues that they think. So anyway, there's some geeky inside baseball stuff.
A lot of people saying, so in 15 years, I'm going to have all the features, meaning they probably only get a car every... What is your favorite feature in your car? Like right now, I have what my favorite features are in all... I own 3 cars. Well, actually, I own 6 cars. I technically own Owen's tour van, which sits over in it. I technically own his... I technically own his pickup, though I need to sign the title over him. But I own a Fiat. I own a Nissan Pathfinder. I own a Ford Expedition. And I have a Chevy Impala. And of the 3 that sit in my driveway, which are the Pathfinder, the Expedition, and the Impala, I have favorite features.
You have favorite features in each one?
No, it's the same features.
Oh, okay.
Heated seats.
Dusty just said that. Dusty just put that. Heated seats is pretty clutch.
Yeah. Now, in my Impala, I've got the heated steering wheel. And I'm like, that's an added bonus.
I have the heated seats and the heated steering wheel. Those are not the first thing that came to mind for me, but those are nice. Remote start is, in an Iowa winter, like remote start's amazing. And when it's not working, like sometimes mine... There's some sort of issue where mine will shut off. I'll turn it on, and then like seconds after it turns on, it shuts off. But you just go out and you start it to set the key fob in the thing, and it sits there and runs and warms up for you.
Hawkeye Guy says, Trevor says, do you guys remember cigarette lighters and ashtrays in the doors? Absolutely. Do cars still come with cigarette lighters?
I don't think so. I don't think that. You might have the little, shouldn't do that. You might have that little inlet for the, jack thing that looks like a cigarette lighter, but push in, wait for it to heat up, and then it popped out, and that was when you knew Dad was about to light up that stogie. Oh, man. I was hotboxed so much growing up. We would drive back from Manning, Iowa to Minden, Iowa. My dad was a 2-pack-a-day smoker, right? And we would always go up to Manning for, like, holidays and stuff. And I always dreaded the ride home because, it's wintertime for Christmas and it's cold out. So the windows have to stay up, and he'd smoke 10 cigarettes in an hour. And you're like, I'm going to have secondhand smoke cancer here. You're giving me PTSD. You're giving me like a flashback. Because your dad did the same thing? I'm in my dad's 1988 Cadillac. Oh. Yeah, the hot boxing. Now, and then Dad had the Chevy Lumina. I've told you that. He had the Dale Earnhardt Chevy Lumina, the black with red accent. The Lumina, one of the worst Chevys I think ever made. I'm serious. I did not like the Lumina. Oh, it was factory. You know what I mean? It was like one of those. If you'd seen one, you'd seen them all. Do you get upset while we're talking about smoking in cars? I get upset if I don't care if you smoke. That's your prerogative. That's the libertarian in me. You want to smoke? I don't care. Go ahead and smoke. Though I get upset, Ross, when I see people and I'm driving and they're smoking in their car. Because I'm like, you're going to get rid of that car someday and you're ruining it for whoever purchases it. Yes, but that's on you. It's your decision.
I know.
Travis, same thing with a house.
Oh, how many houses do you go into where you're just like, oh, you're smokers?
There's a few. Pet smells are one of the biggest things when you're selling a house. Your house has to smell good. What's that?
Cat piss.
Oh,
smoke.
all of those smells. That's why I'm just saying smells in general, because pet smells and smoke smells specifically, food smells. If you want people to walk into your home and like it, every sense that they're feeling. And smell is one of those senses. If they walk in and their nose turns up, that's a huge hurdle to try for them to get over, to say, yeah, this is the house I want to write an offer on.
So as you can see right behind Ross, he sells houses because it says sold. 515.
Get one of those in your yard. Call that number. Get one of those in your yard.
Are you an honest realtor? And what I mean by that is, no. Hear me out.
Let me think.
No, what I mean by that is, obviously you want to list houses, right?
Yes.
And you sit down. Do you go, hey, listen, your house smells like cat piss. You got to do something. Or you've been smoking in here. If we don't get this right, you're not going to sell the house.
Travis, it's so funny you're asking about this. And yesterday, my realtor, Mark Charter, or my broker rather, Mark Charter, was sharing a story that he had with a client, a future client.
Okay.
And in this vein of being very honest with people. And the conversation ended with that comment with, hey, I really appreciate your brutal honesty in this. And because of your brutal honesty, I'm going to use you. I'm going to use you as my realtor. And Mark sent that to our group to say, here is a great example of use honesty at all times. It's so much easier to get through the day. It's so much easier to talk to people and look them in the eye and answer questions when you're honest, because you don't have to think to yourself, crap, what lie did I tell about this, to how's it going to get back? Just be honest. One of your favorite words, vulnerable. It's okay to say to people something, and I want people to like me. I have luckily developed that ability in some cases to tell people things that aren't great news in a friendly way, right? And sometimes that is. Most of the time, Travis, people are going to acknowledge it, and then it's kind of that it's that tug of war game, right? Once they admit to it, you go that direction. So if somebody says, "Man, do you think it smells like animal? Do you smell my dogs? Do you smell my cats?"
Yeah, it's been pooping in here for years.
You don't say that. There's the Travis way. See?
Yeah, you see that pile of poop that you did not pick up last week?
Dude, I've seen some incredible situations, and you just have to once they acknowledge it, that's when you kind of go with it. It's a little bit of a, there's a game to play a little bit when you're talking with people in those sensitive situations, and say, yeah, now that you mention that, maybe there's some things we could do to get rid of that pet smell, or make sure we get the stuff picked up, or, oh yeah, we got to get this cleaned up before we do pictures. And, there's ways to have those conversations, but most of the time you don't have to. Most of the time when people invite you over to their home to see their home, or they invite you over just to have that first consultation or conversation, their home is in pristine shape. And then those people, Travis, are also the ones that every door they go to open, they go, all right, don't judge me. Don't judge me for how this looks. And they open it up and you're like, this is dirty to you? Don't ever come to my house.
Oh, yeah. My wife is always like, somebody's coming over, we got to pick it up. I'm like, it looks fine. Yeah. To me, and that's what, everybody's view of clean, smells, everything. Because my wife's always like, do you smell that? Nope, don't smell a thing. Don't smell a thing.
What I thought you were going to say, Trav, like right now, the most honest conversation is if it's the right time for people to move. And sometimes, like the people that I helped buy 3 or 4 years ago that bought at 2.5%, 3%, and they call me and they're like, hey, I've had a kid, I got married, family has grown, family's doubled in size, need a new place. You go, all right, let's do this. Let's prepare yourself. But the people that call and say, hey, I just, a couple years in, I got some equity, want a new place. And you go, hey, you know what's going to happen with your payment here? Why don't you call me? Let's wait. I'm not trying to talk myself out of a sale, but it's not best for you right now. Some people have to move.
See,
got that family Dublin.
You're impressing so many people. JB says Ross is so good at his job, he could sell Dahmer's apartment.
Here's the nice thing about Iowa, JB. You don't have to disclose things like murders or suicides in it.
You don't?
No. You can't.
Really?
Travis, that is a buyer beware situation. If that matters to you, then Google the address.
Go to the police department, see if anything happened there.
Google will tell you if anything happened to that address.
You get a phone call like 3 weeks after they close. Ross, our house is haunted. Have you had that? Have you had a haunted house call yet?
No.
No, that's good. That's good.
No. How would you prove that? Like, if somebody did call me and say, "Hey, Ross, I think this house is haunted," what would my response be?
Well, is it
start
a nice
selling
ghost
tickets. I'd say
bad
start
ghost?
selling tickets. Let's turn this into a money-making opportunity.
Let's say we took the movie Poltergeist. Would you have to disclose if a new development was built on a cemetery?
Yeah, now that you do have to disclose burial sites.
Okay.
Yep. Mike says, have you ever sold a property where you knew something happened? No.
This is okay. We're going down a rabbit hole here, and that is this is not Ross's real estate consultation hour.
No, it's not.
It came up because of smells in houses and things
I
like that.
I have a bunch of other nonsense stuff that Travis didn't know I wanted to talk about today too. So if we could get to some other things besides the thing that makes me money,
yeah, we're probably going to get to it. Coming up around 6:33, we're going to be joined by Steve Ditmore. He is an author. He's a Drake grad. He wrote the book Jim Gillum, The Forgotten Dodger. And he's a friend of mine. We've had him on the show before back in at the old place. But baseball season is right around the corner. I kind of posed the question out there last night as I posted for the show and says, football's over. What's next? Well, baseball's right around the corner. Spring training getting ready to start. And we're going to talk about this book, Jim Gillum, The Forgotten Dodger, and maybe even a college wrestling in there because he's a professor and a PhD at the University of North Florida. And he's been very heavily involved in the athletic side of things, worked the Olympics, all sorts of good things. So, but last night the Iowa women went on the road. Ross got a win over Nebraska, 81-66, an impressive road win as they avenged a earlier season loss to Nebraska. Iowa just, since that USC game, clicking, and I mean absolutely clicking, having won 5 in a row.
And playing at that right time, right, Trav?
Yes.
And there's never a wrong time to play your best basketball or start to play your best basketball, but this is the right time if you're having 5 in a row. What are we? Because how many games they have left? I don't have their schedule up in front of me.
I don't have the schedule up, but you're on the backside of the season.
Yeah, we got a couple weeks going into a Big Ten tournament here. In fact, just so we can actually have an intelligent conversation about this, let me pull up because I want to know what they're
home on Thursday against Rutgers, but probably I would guess 8 games left?
5 games left in the regular season.
Okay.
3 of those are going to be at home, and again, one of those is against number 1 UCLA coming up on the 23rd. So yeah, Trav, you got with 5 games left, 2 of those against top 10 teams. By the way, they're at Ohio State on the 17th. So, man, that's just that's next Monday night.
Lucy Olson proving why she was worth the NIL money that she came in for to replace Caitlin Clark. She had 32 points last night, 12 of 20 from field goal range, and then overall field goal, 4 of 7 3-pointers. She had the 3-pointers dropping last night. She was penetrating and driving last night. She had 7 assists, 6 rebounds. Her best, I think maybe one of her best nights as a Hawkeye, as they could not stop her. And they needed her last night because Hannah Stolke, Addison O'Grady got into foul trouble. And basically, when your bigs go out, it really relied on Olsen to take over. And then Taylor McCabe hit a lot of threes, had 17 points as she returned home to Nebraska last night. But just clicking at the right time. And I think it was that win over USC. I think what that win did, Ross, because you remember, they were playing like crap. And I think that win just said, oh, we can compete with anybody. You know,
and the confidence that comes from that. Yeah, playing with a top team in the country, you know that they're that good. And they've got the best player in the country now, and they come in and remember that game started with you not only beating them but handling USC. And so I think that confidence maybe even comes from that first 20 minutes of basketball against USC.
I got a message last night on Facebook, and it came from. I'm just going to bring it up because I thought it was an interesting read. Just in what Caitlin Clark, because all things go back to Caitlin Clark, right? It seems like it. Let me switch here. And it was, here it is. It's from, who's it from? Oh, dang it. This is good radio, isn't it, as I sit here?
Even better.
Yeah, I know. It's from John. He goes, weird story. I'm a diehard Cyclone. One that loves Iowa's failures and losses. My girlfriend of 8 years is a Hawk fan. I enjoy Iowa women's basketball. I asked her tonight if the women play. I grew up being family friends of the Fenleys. He's talking Bill Fenley, Iowa State coach.
Yeah.
I asked her, and he goes, I follow Iowa more now. I'm more confused now with Clark being gone on why I'm so drawn. Figured I'd add more Clark effect stories. So he started.
Good question.
Yes, I wonder how many people are like that. He's a diehard Cyclone, celebrates Iowa's failures and losses, but because he started watching with his girlfriend last year with Caitlin Clark, he's more drawn to the Iowa women's team than maybe the Iowa State women's team.
Wow.
Maybe it's that you're attracted to the culture. I mean, you watch Jan Jensen. There's something about that culture that means something, right?
Yeah. Okay. He's friends with the Fenleys, and he's an Iowa State fan. I don't think Iowa basketball is meaning more to him than Iowa State women's basketball. He's just trying to figure, I liked watching the Iowa women and following the Iowa women when Caitlin was there, but now I'm still watching. That's good, man. I want to think about that one for a while. Okay, have you ever done that, Trav? Have you ever had a team that you didn't like, and then all of a sudden you found yourself going, you know what, I can actually root for these guys? I've done that before.
I think what happens is you start watching out of hatred, and then you keep watching, and you find bits and pieces that you like, and then before you know it, mentally and psychologically, you've changed. You're like, oh, I think I'm going to watch them. And I think Iowa women's basketball is like that right now.
Okay, I think for John specifically, I think and for like Iowa, because I think there's a lot of people like John. I was an Iowa State women's basketball fan for years. I hated Iowa. I hate everything Iowa. I want them to lose in checkers. Then all of a sudden, this girl came along, and I started watching and not necessarily rooting, but enjoying watching. Here's what I think happened to that specific section of the population. You really wanted women's basketball to be popular. There's a group of there's a percentage of our population that just wanted women to get their due, right? And for years we're saying, hey, this is a kind of fun to watch. I think you guys would enjoy this. If you watch it, it's very fundamental basketball. It's really, it's pretty high level. Check it out. Then all of a sudden, this star appeared that started to draw everybody towards it. The gravitational pull became huge. And I think that you were just drawn not only to that gravitational pull, but now there was this thing about you've got more light on this thing that you've wanted more light on. Again, we make these comparisons back to like golf and Tiger Woods and stuff. But think of how Tiger over time, when Tiger first came out, there was like, oh, gosh, this kid thinks he's going to change everything. When he changed everything, and everybody went, "Whoa, he changed it."
Yeah.
Now, I'm warning you guys about Caitlin Clark. And I think this seems pretty obvious, but we need to talk about it. There will be a tipping point. There will be a tear 'em down that happens with Caitlin Clark on a national level that we as Iowans don't get to control. I don't know when it will happen, but it is inevitable. It's what we do. And you could even say it's kind of happening already. That as she's been climbing, there have been lots of little knocks to try to knock her down and keep her down and, little things. So I think, Trav, that's what I think happened with a guy like John. John is a big Iowa State fan. He loves the Fennellys, like most of us do. If you paid attention at all, you like Bill Fennelly. And you've been rooting for Bill Fennelly. But there's something about this, the gravitational pull of Caitlin Clark. Why did he stick around? I think it became habit.
And you want to keep your girlfriend happy.
Probably a big part of that.
515-517-2303. You can interact with us on Twitter at Rush Mornings. And, of course, participate in the chat that's taking place on YouTube and X right here on the stream feed. It is the Rush Radio Show at therushradio.com.
Hi, I'm Sean McFarland, Service Manager at Mini of Des Moines. Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and if you're looking for the perfect gift for your Mini, give us a call and get your vehicle in for its scheduled maintenance or any repairs that you've put off until now. There's no better way to make your Mini feel the love that you have for it. Please give us a call or visit us online at miniofdesmoines.com.
You've dreamed about an absolutely organized garage or closet? See it for yourself at Absolute Garage & Closet's beautiful showroom in Urbandale. See the latest in garage storage, custom closet systems, and epoxy flooring applications up close, and imagine how good it will feel to have your garage, closets, or other spaces absolutely organized. Free consultations, friendly service, and quick project turnarounds, Absolute Garage & Closets is ready to bring peace of mind into your home. Visit Absolute Garage & Closets at 3169 99th Street in Urbandale or at absolutegarage.net.
Missing a quality, home-cooked meal? You know, the kind Mom used to make? Lucky for you, we found her recipe book. Welcome to the High Life. Welcome to the Champagne of Bars.
I'm loving these wooden nickels, Brian.
Yeah, I suppose everyone is catching on.
Just spend $20 to get a wooden nickel.
It's 25.
Collect 10 and add up the savings on your next purchase.
Some of these are worth $5. That could be huge.
I know, right? That's why you have to spend $20.
It's 25.
Collect 10. It's like money back to you.
Spend 20, you get another wooden nickel.
It's 25.
Collect 10 and add up the savings. It's huge.
Central City Liquor is home of the 10% cash coupon.
And the wooden nickel program.
It's huge.
There's a new spin on casual dining near Drake University. Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers. Craveable faves, flatbreads, delicious burgers, frozen cocktails, and a crazy cool vibe. Get to Lucky Horse Beer and Burgers today.
Is something in your attic keeping you up at night? Don't let unwanted guests take over your home. With over 20 years of experience, Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions is Central Iowa's trusted expert in fast, effective, eco-friendly wildlife solutions at a fair price. We safely remove bats, squirrels, raccoons, birds, and more so you can sleep soundly again. For a free estimate, call Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions today at 515-218-3400.
Don't forget, you can listen to the Rush Radio Show all day long at therushradio.com. Just hit that listen live button. That's where you can find us. Of course, the show runs on a loop 24/7, so you can pick it up wherever. If you want to start from the very beginning, just listen to the replay of the show at any podcast subscription that you have. iHeart, Apple, you name it. It's out there in the interwebs. I'm Travis Justice. He is Ross Peterson. Ross, I was sitting around the house this weekend with our mutual friend Pat Campagna, who you went on a Camino with.
Yeah, love Pat. Truly love. Wonderful
our
man.
wedding pictures came out, and we started looking at the wedding pictures, right? From 1993. Anjanette and myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant from Abigail's wedding.
No, from my wedding when I had hair, really bad teeth, And we were going through everybody who was in my wedding. And John Walters was in my wedding, voiced the Cyclones. Then I had my brother, who I haven't talked to in 26 years, was my best man. That's how good of a best man he was. And my good friend Steve Ditmore. Now, Steve Ditmore and I, you go your separate ways over life, right? So you're like,
and just naturally, friends grow apart. Life does that. Yeah.
I'm a guy that, teams with you to start an online radio station. Steve is an accomplished PhD. He is the Dean of Education and Human Services at the University of North Florida, and he also wrote a book. And he joins us now on the Rush Radio Show as this is like the first time we've connected in like 2 or 3 years. He was here for the College World Series a couple years ago. But how you doing there, buddy?
I'm great. Thank you guys for having me on. And yeah.
The two things, the reason I wanted to bring you on, one, you had a post on LinkedIn the other day that piqued my interest. I didn't know if you were serious, if you were just, messing around. Cleveland State, Ross, dropped college wrestling. Just dropped college wrestling.
Okay.
And Steve, were you around Drake when they dropped college wrestling? Did that happen during your tenure?
It happened right after I left.
Okay.
Right after I left when Lonnie Timmerman was the head wrestling coach. You remember that?
Yeah.
So it was probably 93, 94, somewhere in that period.
So you made I don't know if it was a joke. You were being serious that Cleveland State dropped wrestling and the Division III program down the road had a $2,000 more bigger operating budget. And you said, should more Division I teams be dropping to Division III? Yeah. Is that possible? Can you do that? Can you go from Division I to Division III?
Well, I mean, in theory, not without getting the NCAA's permission to do that. But from a state of where we are right now in higher education, and with the coming changes to Division I and NIL and all of that, it really makes it difficult for these low mid-major schools to compete against the big boys at the Division I level. And so what you see, and I use all publicly available data from the Department of Education, the Equity and Athletics Data Analysis website. Universities are required to report this. So I didn't do anything that you couldn't do. I just manipulated some spreadsheets and knew what to look
you're
for.
A doctor. I'm not. I don't take the time to do that.
Well, I mean, you don't take the time. That's the thing. It's like you could do it if you wanted to take the time. But, what I did was I looked at how much those programs are spending. And so I compared 4 Cleveland area college wrestling programs: Lake Erie College, a Division II, Cleveland State, Division I, John Carroll and Baldwin Wallace, both Division III schools. And the Division III schools spend more per participant on operating expenses. So that's things like travel costs. It's things, that are related to the operations, equipment, if wrestling's not a high equipment sport, but those are the types of things that get lumped in there. The difference is, and they spent Baldwin Wallace, which is ranked in the top 10 in Division III, spent $2,000 more per participant than Cleveland State did. The difference is Cleveland State has to give athletic aid. And so while their budgets are relatively similar to one another, the difference is CSU is offering athletic grants and aid. They're paying their coaches a little bit more, but they're basically pulling back on the experience that the athletes get based on solely the metric of operating expenses. And then I compared the number 1 team in wrestling right now, Penn State, which defeated Iowa in a dual meet recently.
Yeah, rub it in.
Nobody can argue. No, they better not argue.
So Penn State is spending upwards of $20,000 per participant in its operating costs.
Wow.
Now, but
how do you compete with that, right?
Does that? And I'm just asking, and I would not doubt in almost any metric that Penn State is offering the best experience. But does that include all facilities? Like what all exactly goes into that?
So the operating expense is going to be your facilities, the cost to run an event. So, obviously Penn State, you're going to draw several thousand people for the dual meet. Cleveland State's not. So you've got to pay more facility operations and all of that. That's the operating expense. And so Penn State is creating this experience for its athletes that's equivalent to spending $20,000 per athlete. And that's before they give athletic grants and aid. And right now the NCAA today caps the number of scholarships at the Division I level for men's wrestling at 9.9. Cleveland State, it was reported, not by me, but by others, that Cleveland State was giving 3 scholarships, the equivalent of 3 that they would spread out over their team. And then you take Penn State, which is probably fully funding 9.9. Iowa, I'm sure, is fully funding. Iowa State, they're all fully funding those things. It's really hard for Cleveland State to compete against those. And so wouldn't they be better off? Wouldn't schools in that space, at least for certain sports, and I think maybe this is ultimately where we go with college athletics, is that you let football go off and do its thing. Maybe you figure out something for men's and women's basketball. I know you guys were talking about women's basketball here a moment ago. Keep those things kind of where they are. But all of these Olympic-related or non-revenue sports, change the playing field a little bit. Let them compete against one another. It would make more sense for Cleveland State to wrestle Lake Erie and John Carroll and BW and save on travel costs than having to go, to Northern Illinois or, wherever else to compete.
Man, I love you're absolutely right. This is the way for it to compete. That I have this hesitation, and maybe you can help me kind of make the mental gymnastics here about severing football and allowing them to break off, because I've got this thing in my head. I'm torn between being that libertarian and also football didn't build that thing on their own. They were part of an athletic department for decades and decades that wasn't funded by this bajillion-dollar television industry. Mm-hmm. And now that they've got that, now they want to take their ball and go away and go home, and they want to have their own little egg. I think that you're right, that's going to happen. And this is the way for these Olympic sports, because I love wrestling. I love it. I think that you're right so can you help me make that jump? I don't want football to be able to break off, and because I think it can be detrimental to a lot of these programs unless they're willing to make this really difficult change.
Yeah. So I think there's 2 things you got to consider here. First is, why do schools compete at the Division I level, and what are the rules around that? So if you look at a FBS school, so your Iowa States, your Iowas, Nebraskas, those things, they are required by the NCAA to have 16 sports. That's what the NCAA bylaws say. FCS schools, or the Division I's that don't sponsor a football team, a Creighton,
Northern Iowa.
Yep.
I think Northern Iowa has a football team, but
it does. It does.
Fair enough.
But FCS,
we'll go with Creighton. How's that?
Okay. Creighton's a good analogy.
Yeah. So they're only required to have 14. So if you pull, if first of all, if that rule changed, how many athletic departments, in order to maintain the current status quo, would cut sports that are not making money? That's the only reason in my mind that we still have the number of Division I sports in a lot of places, is because of this NCAA bylaw. Now, go ahead.
I've said that many times. I said if you could just keep your revenue sports, all you would have would be 100%. Basically men's basketball and football. That'd be it.
Yeah, in certain places you'd have wrestling. Certain places you might have ice hockey. You might have those baseball in the South, things like that. But that's it. Yeah,
interesting.
So that's the first point. The second point is, if you just privatize college football altogether and you license the brand, so you're licensing the Hawkeye back to creating an arrangement between the private equity and the university, you're going to get revenue that's going to help support that operation for your other sports from that. If you keep the basketball revenue that comes in from the March Madness contracts, and you keep those things as a part of the athletic department, just let football go off and be its own little entity, I don't know that you're really going to have as much concern about things changing the way that we might fear that it might happen.
Interesting. I mean, the changing times. In the next 10 years, you're going to see a paradigm shift in college athletics, and they're all trying to figure this out. It's going to be a power struggle for sure on who can get the most money and how you can save the most, but they don't want to damage themselves.
I think you hit it, Travis. Who can have the most money?
Who can have the most money? The other reason I wanted to bring you on, you recently wrote a book, You're a huge. So Steve's a big Dodgers fan, and Ross is a baseball nerd.
Well, hold on.
Baseball nerd.
And Travis didn't prepare me at all, Steve, about the NCAA stuff. I had no idea that was going to be. No, I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
So I can tell already. We're going to have to do this more often because
Anytime.
this is a fun guy to talk to. So thank you for giving us time already. And now let's get into the reason that I knew you were coming on.
Yeah,
and that's the Jim Gillum, the forgotten Dodger. Steve's a huge Dodger fan. I actually went to a Dodgers game. I don't know if you remember this. On my honeymoon, we went to watch the Rockies and the Dodgers at Mile High Stadium. I don't know if you even remember that.
Was I in Colorado Springs at the time?
Yeah, you were in Colorado Springs at the time.
I remember you and I road trip into Wrigley Field.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. We drove back from Chicago, and it was – I remember money flew out the window.
It did.
We had like – yeah, we had money. I was so stupid. I put my money on the dashboard, and we were trying to stay awake, and we rolled down the window, and $100 just flies out the window. I'm like, oh, I'm 22 years old. There went all my money. My cash flow was gone. I was an idiot. I was an absolute –
We thought it would be a good idea to drive from Des Moines to Chicago for a night game at Wrigley Field, go to the Cubby Bear, and then drive back.
Yeah. What could go wrong?
Right.
Money flying out the window.
At 4 in the morning.
But I didn't know who Jim Gillum was.
Yeah.
And this is a fascinating story. By the way, this book is #1 on Amazon in the new release baseball history category. So it's #1 on Amazon. You can find it. Just search Jim Gillum, the Forgotten Dodger. But this, I mean, everybody thinks of Jackie Robinson, but Jim Gillum, just based on the forward and the description of the book, why is this guy not in the Hall of Fame?
That's a good question. I don't know that he actually had a Hall of Fame career, but the thing is, he never got one single Hall of Fame vote. And Hall of Fame voters are ridiculous.
Idiots.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't vote for Ichiro? That's just ridiculous. Whoever the one person is that didn't vote for Ichiro recently, but he played 13 seasons with the Los Angeles and Brooklyn Dodgers. He played 4 years in the Negro Leagues prior to that. And in between there, he had 2 years in the Dodgers minor league system, ostensibly because the Dodgers already had 3 or 4 black players on their roster and didn't want to get to a point where they would have 4 or 5 black players in the starting lineup. They would eventually do that in 1954, where they would field 5 black players in a starting line. But, he bounced around. He played second base. He played third base. He played the outfield. He was a part of 7 World Series teams for the Dodgers franchise. He won 4 World Series rings, played in all 4 of those. Nobody else can say that. Sandy Koufax was on the roster for 4, but didn't play in the 1955 series. Johnny Padres was on the roster for 4, but didn't play in the 65 series. Gillum's the only person in Dodger history to do that. He was the 1953 Rookie of the Year. He walked 2.5 times more than he struck out. He hit behind Maury Wills to allow Wills to steal 100 and some odd bases in 1962. He got MVP votes in 1965 in his age 36 season. He finished 30th in the MVP voting that year. And in a lot, he's forgotten in a sense. Maybe he's not forgotten. I've heard from a lot of Dodger fans on Facebook and elsewhere that are part of, diehard Brooklyn Dodger groups that say, oh, we never forgot him. And his name is Junior because that was his nickname, not Jim. We never forgot him. He's certainly overlooked as a Dodger. His legacy is certainly overlooked. And he played with a lot of titans of baseball. You mentioned Jackie Robinson, Sandy Koufax, Duke Snider, Pee Wee Reese, Roy Campanella. The list goes on.
So, Ross, you may not know this, but did I see this right, Steve, that he hit the last home run at Ebbets Field and then hit the first home run at the 2 stadiums the Dodgers played in L.A.?
He scored the last run at Ebbets Field.
Okay.
Yeah. But he hit the first home run in both the first Dodger home run, that is, not the first home run altogether, but the first one for the Dodgers franchise in both the Memorial Coliseum and the Dodger Stadium. And what's unique about that is that over his career, he was not a home run hitter. But he is the only, this is my favorite statistic about him. He is the only player in baseball history to hit a home run in the Negro League's East-West All-Star Game and the Major League Baseball All-Star Game.
This is incredible. So First of all, I will defend you for calling him the Forgotten Dodger. I'd never heard this name, and if I had certainly forgotten it. Why? First, let's start with that. Why is he not as well known as a lot of Dodger fans know him? I mean, I found out just from the quick Google searches that I did after seeing the forward of your book. He and Fernando Valenzuela, is this true? They're the only two Dodgers with their numbers retired, Travis, that aren't in the Hall of Fame.
Really? Yep.
So why don't we know this guy?
Yeah, he passed away in 1978 on the eve of, or the end of the season in September. He was coaching first base for the Dodgers. Another first, he was the first black to serve as a base coach in Major League Baseball. The first on-field coach that was black. Buck O'Neill, Gene Baker, they were coaches, but they were in the bench. They retired his number right away. And so people that have been going to Dodger Stadium over the years will see the number 19 up on the side of the facade of the Dodger Stadium, or they'll see the 19 statue out in the parking lot. And in that
he's got a statue.
Yeah. He's got a park named after him in Los Angeles, Jim Gilliam Recreational Park in the Baldwin Hills area of Los Angeles.
Travis, did you know this name?
No, had no clue. Thanks to Steve Ditmore, PhD, we do now.
Yeah, so it's a good question. Why is he forgotten? I think of a certain generation, he's not. But I think for today's modern fan, yes, we all know Fernando Valenzuela. Certainly his influence on the Mexican Americans in Los Angeles is enormous. Fernando passed away this past year, so there was a big thing about that. But for the longest time, Gilliam was the only one to have his number retired that wasn't in the Hall of Fame. And people were critical of the Dodgers, not that they had retired Gilliam's number, but they hadn't retired Fernando's number. They hadn't retired Gil Hodges' number at 14 until Hodges was elected to the Hall of Fame. So, people, I don't think, deliberately ignore his career. They just don't seek out the information. And, I just hope that at some point in time, he gets consideration for a Hall. I mean, I've been fortunate and gratified that so many people in the baseball community have reacted positively to this, and that there's a number of folks that study the game that recognize, yeah, he's a pretty influential person. And then you start digging into some of the sociological and kind of racial issues that were there. He didn't deserve to spend 2 years in the minors. The Dodgers didn't, Major League Baseball wasn't totally integrated. The Boston Red Sox don't integrate until the end of the 1950s when Pumpsie Green becomes their first black player. The Dodgers, by that point in time, had a dozen different black players on their roster. But just getting to that point of saying, we're going to have more blacks than whites, or we're going to start 4 of them in the lineup. We're going to basically move one white player to the bench to replace him with a better player. Let's, forget about the color. The fact is, Gilliam was a better player than the bench players they had in 51 and 52, but they weren't ready to have him on the roster.
Wow.
What inspired you to write it? Just your Dodger fandom or the story itself?
Yeah, I think my Dodger fandom, I was born in Los Angeles, grew up there until first grade. So I knew of Gilliam as a coach. I certainly remember the 1978 World Series when they had the 19 on their armbands. And, as I got older and as I studied more about baseball, I became really a student of the Negro Leagues and a fan of that. And his story was one that hadn't been told, and that bridge kind of both the segregated part of baseball to the integrated part. He bridged Brooklyn and Los Angeles, as you pointed out. He was influential in both of those cities. I just thought he would be an interesting subject.
So he was a first base coach. He'd been with the Dodgers. I mean, Travis, as a player, he became a player coach, and then he just stayed with that organization. He died in September of 78. So that would have been in middle of September too, Travis, September 15th.
So he was stricken with a brain hemorrhage in middle of September, was in a coma, and died 2 days before the 1978 World Series.
So really fresh. I thought they had a couple weeks as I was reading the.
No, in fact, Game 2, his funeral took place the morning of Game 2 in Los Angeles. It just so happened that
and he was their first base coach.
Yes.
Do you remember that? That was the year I was born. You guys are significantly older than me, if you couldn't tell.
And they played the Yankees in 78, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Reverend Jesse Jackson delivered his eulogy at the Baptist Church in Los Angeles. Yeah.
Wow.
I have a copy of eBay's great for doing archival research. Somebody at one point in time had a copy of the funeral program from his service, which I quickly snapped up because it had all the lists of all the pallbearers and all the speakers and all that sort of stuff. And I would never have known how to track all that information down.
Unbelievable.
I assume Jackie Robinson was one of the speakers, or
well, Robinson passed away in 1972.
Oh, really?
And Gilliam was a pallbearer in Jack E. Robinson's funeral because they were roommates together in 1953.
Man, I was thinking Jackie was alive into the 80s for some reason.
Nope.
Did you not see the movie?
No, if I did, I forgot that part of it, obviously.
So, where besides Amazon, is this? Can you get this? Is it a Kindle? Is it a?
Yeah.
It's a Kindle. Is it? You got hardbacks and all that stuff.
We just went with paperback. It's published by August Publications. Just went paperback. It's also available in ebook. So Kindle, Nook, Kubo, whatever your Apple eBooks, whatever your preferred e-reader is, available through Barnes and Noble, Powell's Bookshop, Amazon. I saw actually it was even available through a Walmart link. All the places you can order it direct from the publisher.
Hey, you've made it big when you made it to Walmart.
Yeah, I didn't know how I felt about that.
Come on, you worked in Fayetteville for so long.
That's part of it, right? I mean, in Northwest Arkansas, it's either the University of Arkansas or it's Walmart. So, yeah.
Oh, good stuff. I mean, this is. I'm happy for you to write the book. And I don't think you need to be a Dodger fan to appreciate this, right? I mean, it's for baseball lovers.
I hope not, because I think again his story cuts across many decades. I mean, we didn't talk about some of this, but he played with the giants of the Negro Leagues, people like Josh Gibson, and he played against Satchel Paige and Buck Leonard and Cool Papa Bell. And he also played then alongside the contemporaries, the Hank Aaron's, the Willie Mays, Ernie Banks. They were all friends. They all got along. They barnstormed together. There was a barnstorming team after the 1955 World Series of black players that literally had all those guys I mentioned: Mays, Aaron, Banks, Jim Gilliam at second base. I mean, they didn't lose, of course, because that's just a phenomenal lineup.
It's better than most lineups in Major League Baseball today.
It's better than most all-star. I mean, dude, That's not an all-star. That's a Hall of Fame lineup.
Yeah, it is.
Wow. I'm so glad. Travis, thanks so much for and also, Dr. Ditmore, you're also an inspiration, because to know that a friend of Travis's can have such success gives me hope that someday I too can climb out of this dark hole.
Well, I appreciate the comments.
He had something on the tip of his tongue there. Did you notice that? He was going to take a shot at me, and he held back. I don't know why he did, but he did. But
and truth be told, going back to your wedding, I did come across photos from that era recently, and picture of me and John Walters sitting at the head table at your reception, which, as I recall, was in a basketball gymnasium.
Yeah, it was a town hall. Yeah,
and had a Hoosiers-like clock in there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hold on. He calls it a basketball gymnasium, and you're calling it a town hall.
It's a parish hall. Everything happens at the parish hall. You have the dances. You have the CYO basketball
Let me ask
games.
you, okay, I got one question, Travis. Could somebody have shot jumpers at could there have been a layup line?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You were in a gym.
I was in a hall. I was in an all-purpose hall.
All right, if you'd like to dance with the groom, line to the left. If you want to do layups, second line to the left.
We're going to do the tip drill. Here we go.
All right, guys.
Line them up.
We can either do the chicken dance or a game of 21. Who's up?
The weave got a little out of control.
Can we push the tables back, please? We got to do we got 3-man weave here. 3-man weave. Oh, man. Good stuff. Steve, I tell you what, you went to Drake. I think you graduated, about 1991, 1992?
91, 91 for the undergrad.
Yeah, so you got your master's at Drake, too. Mm-hmm. You are still very connected to the world of athletics. When stuff like this comes up, especially when it comes to the business of sports or the administration of sports, can we count on you to be our resident expert?
I'd be honored to do that.
There you go.
Lots of fun. Thank you
Yes.
so much for giving us time this morning. Thanks for introducing us to Jim Gilliam, too. This is a fascinating story.
Yeah, appreciate it, Ross. Appreciate it, Travis. Thank you, guys.
See you, buddy. Go to work. We'll talk to you
All right.
later. All right,
Take care.
later.
Bye.
Steve Ditmore joining us on the Rush Radio Show. You wonder,
Dude, how do you
Ross,
have these friends? How do you have it's incredible.
I know people. I'm a connector.
You are
I'm
a connector. You're and people love you. Despite what we tell you, people love you.
They tolerate me. How's that? They tolerate me.
That's a fascinating dude. And I don't mean just Dr. Ditmore. I mean Jim Gilliam, too.
Yeah. You wonder how many other athletes in pro football, in pro basketball, in baseball are out there that have these similar stories that were superstars but never got recognized for being the superstar they were.
There's this whole spectrum. So there's the superstars that never got the recognition like Jim Gilliam. Okay. There's the Moonlight Grahams that were never superstars, but their stories are fascinating. And man, then think of the thousands of guys that never got to the professional level or never got to the major league level whose stories we'll never know. Not just because of Negro leagues and things like that, but dudes that had amazing stories that they overcame in their personal lives, and then their careers, they were a 220 hitter in AAA, so we never heard about them. There's so many of those fascinating stories out there, man. This is a guy whose number is retired. He's a generation's Fernando Valenzuela, but again, not the guy. He wasn't. Man, I want to talk more with Steve because there's a fascinating psychological thing here too about being kind of that first one. Jackie Robinson is here.
And I mean, nobody wears his number.
And should be, by the way, should be.
Yes.
He endured the most. He went through all this. He was the tip of the spear. But man, you forget about the guys that were right behind him. Incredible. And that's an incredible story. I loved it.
515-517-2303 is the number to call. We got an hour in the books. We got an hour to go. It's good to have you along on the Rush Radio Show at therushradio.com.
With over 260 beers on tap, El Bait Shop isn't just another craft beer bar. It's the best. Beer lovers know. El Bait Shop, 200 Southwest 2nd, Des Moines.
Oh, boy.
That's right, Brian. It's tailgate season, and Central City's got everything a good tailgate needs.
We have all the beer,
All the good party drinks.
And don't forget the White Claw.
hot dogs, brats, and chips.
Kegs and eggs.
And if you fill up your cooler with beer from Central City, we'll throw in the ice for free. By the way, what team is this supposed to represent?
All the teams, Brian. All the teams. I don't discriminate. Tailgate time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Central City Liquors, home of the 10% cash coupon.
There's more Iowa in the Iowa Tap Room than you may realize. Housed in a building nearly as old as Iowa itself, the Iowa Tap Room greets you with a harvest of 120 Iowa craft beers on tap from all corners of the state. And the food doesn't get much more Iowa than this. The Iowa Tap Room, all Iowa beer, one amazing place.
Hi, I'm Steve Ollinger, Service Director at Willis Nissan. February is here. Love is in the air. Valentine's Day is around the corner. Flowers, chocolates, brakes, oil changes, batteries. Get your car checked today. Go online to willisnissan.com to make your appointment. Happy Valentine's Day.
Is something in your attic keeping you up at night? Don't let unwanted guests take over your home. With over 20 years of experience, Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions is Central Iowa's trusted expert in fast, effective, eco-friendly wildlife solutions at a fair price. We safely remove bats, squirrels, raccoons, birds, and more so you can sleep soundly again. For a free estimate, call Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions today at 515-218-3400.
You've dreamed about an absolutely organized garage or closet? See it for yourself at Absolute Garage and Closet's beautiful showroom in Urbandale. See the latest in garage storage, custom closet systems, and epoxy flooring applications up close, and imagine how good it will feel to have your garage, closets, or other spaces absolutely organized. Free consultations, friendly service, and quick project turnarounds, Absolute Garage and Closets is ready to bring peace of mind into your home. Visit Absolute Garage and Closets at 3169 99th Street in Urbandale or at absolutegarage.net.
Hour number 2 of the Rush Radio Show at therushradio.com. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Also hit that like button. The more you like us, the more we get recommended, and the more people can find the Rush Radio Show. You can follow us on X at Rush Mornings, and of course, like our Facebook page. Good to have you along on a Tuesday. I'm Travis Justice. He is Ross Peterson, and if you missed the interview with Steve Ditmore, PhD, I don't have any. I don't have any letters I can put behind my name. Buy the book. The Forgotten Dodger, Jim Gilliam. It's on Amazon. It's the number 1 new release in baseball history. Number 1 on the Amazon list.
Big fan base, Dodger fan base, and then base. That's a really cool story. Thanks for having him on, dude. Good job.
Well, you know, it's this show has to produce every once in a while, so we're producing. Of course, the Rush Radio Show powered by Willis Automotive. You're looking for a new car, really any brand, whether that's pre-owned or new. Willis is going to be able to help you out and get you taken care of and getting a brand new car. And to me, even when I buy a used car, Ross, that's a new car to me. That's a new car to me.
It is. Every new car I've ever owned was owned by somebody else.
Yeah. You just broke it in for me. I appreciate that.
You broke it in.
You broke it in
broke
for
it
me.
in. Yeah.
Got all the kinks out of it, ready to go. We're good to go. So thanks to Willis Automotive for powering the Rush Radio Show. Iowa State's going to be on the road tonight. They're going to be at Central Florida, 7.5-point favorite. Things seem to be back to normal for the Cyclones. This is a team in UCF that they blew out earlier in the season, Ross. Kicked the crap out of them, actually, at home without Milan Momcilovic. Milan's back. You've got Curtis Jones coming off the bench now. Again, he'd moved into the starting rotation, but now with Milan back to coming off the bench in that 6-man role that he likes. Again, a 7.5-point favorite on the road, which is big. That's a big favorite on the road.
Especially on the heels of what you kind of been through these last couple of weeks. And I think that's why that number is so low. This game, you hadn't had those losses. This is probably a 12-point spread or something like that. And that's the kind of confidence I think that most people have, most Cyclone fans should have going into this game. That's what I think is going to happen tonight. Iowa State's a much better team. Not much better. Iowa State's a better team. And still some get-right stuff needed there. Certainly not, again, don't want to overstate this, not must-win, but you still want to see some things tonight. You want to see that you can get on the road, win a game. Ross just says it in our chat. There are no easy road games. You're absolutely right, Ross. There's no easy road games. I'm not going to say but. There's no easy road games, but you should win this basketball game, and it's something that, again, not a must-win, but you need to see this. You need to see your team go out and handle the business tonight because you're going to play in much more difficult environments against much more difficult teams.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, beat UCF, 108-83, just kicked the crap out of them. Iowa State stayed in the Associated Press poll in the top 10. They are the number 10 team in the country. They, of course, coming off that loss to Kansas, you wondered if Iowa State was going to drop out of the top 10, but you had Auburn get beat, Duke get beat. And I think people look at Iowa State now, especially the voters, and go, okay, this team's back to being healthy. No reason to drop them out of the top 10. Still, bracketology is still not being updated on a weekly basis. The last one from Lenardi came out on the 7th. But still time in the season, Ross, to get back into that top 6, top 5, depending on what happens, and maybe play your way back into a number 2 seed. Or I think a number 1 seed is going to be hard at this point.
Okay, I think a 1 seed's going to be hard. I'm pulling up their schedule again just to see, because you've got 2 ranked teams. You're at Houston, and then Arizona comes to town.
I think you're going to avenge the loss to Arizona.
You're going to have to, the way you play yourself, man, get into a 1 seed.
The 1 seed's going to be hard.
Going to be really difficult right now to get back to a 1 seed. I do think that you are in that. I mean, obviously playing up to a 2 seed that's not only possible, that's probable.
Yeah.
You win your way out, you play your way even to the Big 12 championship, and that's enough to play you back onto that 2 line pretty solid. This is the great when we are in the second week of February, and your conversation is, do you think we're going to be a 1 through 4 seed? Good job. TJ Otzelberger, good job. Good season. Now get to March and do great things there. Because let's be honest, when it gets to that second week in March, if you have a 1 through 4 next to your name, you got a good shot.
You know what I like about tonight's game? It's 6 o'clock. So, it starts at 6, 8 o'clock. I can get some shut eye.
That horn's going to happen as I'm laying in bed.
Is it snowing where you're at yet? Because it's starting to snow where I'm at. Look at Ross going, get up, look out the window.
No,
it's not snowing yet. I got a little snow on the ground. We're supposed to get like over here like 7 inches of snow. That's a lot, and I know we need it. We need moisture in the worst way. You like snow. You like sledding.
Hold on. I like the first snow.
Okay, and we haven't had that yet.
We haven't had that yet. Right. I'm going to be all in Bing Crosby mode. Snow's going to be flying. I'm dreaming. Get all romantic about it. Get the sledding clothes out. Take Audrey sledding? Yeah, that's going to be fun.
What are your sledding clothes? I mean, do you put like the insulated overalls on?
No, I will. I have insulated pants, and then I'll wear like my fishing, my wet clothes, if you will, my rain gear. So get warm and then put on the wet gear.
Noah said they've got about a 1/4 inch of snow up in Ames.
Wow.
Yeah. So it just depends, and you could be watching in Florida right now, like Dr. Ditmore is, and you're just loving the 70-degree weather, or you could be in Arizona or Texas and just looking at us going, nah, no snow here.
They're jealous. They wish they could go sledding.
I promise you they're not jealous.
They're jealous, Travis. I'm going to tell myself they are jealous.
Yeah, you go ahead and tell yourself
every day's the same. Every day it's 83. Losers. Did the right things with your life to move out of this place. Losers. Don't have to live someplace where it hurts your body.
We mentioned the AP top 20.
They're the jealous ones, Travis. They're the jealous ones.
They're the jealous ones. Sure, you go ahead and you convince yourself of that.
I enjoy the summers more because I experienced the winters, damn it.
We mentioned the Associated Press Top 25 poll. Despite losing, Auburn kept the number 1 spot. That's because Duke, who was number 2 last week, also got beat. That moved Alabama up to the 2 line. Florida's Florida and Duke are tied for that 3rd spot. Do you like ties when it comes to the poll?
I don't give a shit, dude.
That's fine. That's fine. I get it.
I mean, it is weird to me that they came out with the exact same number of points. 1342, and I don't, they're tabulated. How many voters are there in the AP poll? Let's see. There are how many first place votes?
68, 72, something like that.
27. What did you say?
Was it 68?
61.
61.
I think 61. That's how many first place votes I'm counting.
That public school math you got going right there.
61.
See? It's good public school math from Ross right there.
So yeah, I think it's fascinating that they land on the exact same number of points, but I don't care. Like, let Duke and Florida fans have a pissing match about. I would say Florida should actually be the number 3 team because Florida received first place votes. Duke did not.
That should be like the tiebreaker.
There should be a tiebreaker.
There should be a tiebreaker.
Should be like wrestling criteria. At the end of it, they have to go to criteria because it's tied.
Because here's where I get confused because I'm an idiot. Is like it's 1, 2, 3, 5. That doesn't make that chronologically. That doesn't make sense to me.
What you're saying, right?
Right? It's like 1, 2, 3, 5. No, I need a 4 in there.
It's like
where is the 4?
It's like 1, 2, A, 4. Wait, whoa, hell, hold on.
You can't do that to me. But you bring up a good point. We have a tiebreaker. If you got a first place vote, or whoever gets the most first place votes gets the number 3 spot. That's fair.
That's how I'm going to do it. So there, you just asked me. Now all of a sudden I care.
See, I can make you care about certain things.
Exactly. You have that power.
126 million people. Let me repeat that. 126 million people watch the Super Bowl. A new record for the Super Bowl. Now that counts streaming services, where they believe 15 million plus watched on what is it, Tubi or Fubi or something like that?
Tubi, yeah, I have Tubi.
Which is a free service owned by Fox, and I think the NFL had its streaming services as well. So 15 on the streaming services, and then you have the rest of them just on traditional Fox. 126 million. Now we talk about the NFL being king. I need to put this in perspective for everybody. 126 million people watch the Super Bowl. The college football championship. You want to guess what that is, Ross? 120 for the college football championship?
How many?
22 million. 104 million more people watch the Super Bowl.
Wow.
That's why NFL is king.
5 times the number of people.
What is it about the Super Bowl? And just the Super Bowl, the average, I think, for the playoffs.
I can tell you what it is. This is easy. This is a layup. What is it about the Super Bowl? The Super Bowl is a cultural event. You plan your Super Bowl parties like it's New Year's Eve. You know what I mean? It's possible for you to have multiple parties to go to and multiple things to do, and then when you get to certain places, there's 15, 20 people at some parties. It's a cultural event. The Super Bowl is way more. It transcends all the stuff, man. That's how you get to 126 million people. Trav, how many people voted?
What? That's a good question. I guarantee it wasn't 126 million. Probably about 100. And I'm going to guess. Let me throw this out there.
I think there was, but we're going to get there. Hold on.
I'm going to throw out 110 million people voted. Ross is doing the quick Google search. How many people voted in the 2024 presidential election?
2024 election by the numbers. We're going to get there.
Okay.
Oh, my God. This is taking way too long.
It is.
Trump won with 77 million votes.
Okay. So more people voted than watched the Super Bowl. But it is... Because he won by 3 or 4 million votes?
Dude, not many more. Not many more. If you took the people if you took the people that watched the college football national championship and added them to the Super Bowl, that's how many people voted.
That's unbelievable. Man. Yeah, you have 150 million people voted?
151 million, yeah. Yeah, right around there. 151, 152 million.
And 126 watched the Super Bowl. And you mentioned the cultural thing, and we talked about it yesterday with the pregame and capturing the essence of New Orleans. You've got the commercials that are obviously a draw for people. The halftime show is a draw for people. The playoff games average 32 million people. So you're talking playoffs. We're talking playoffs.
Yeah, right.
Average 32 million, but you put the word Super Bowl on it, and it brings in people who probably watch a football game once a year.
Dude, I mean, when you've got the wives planning the crock pot, potlucks, it's way bigger than the game. Way bigger than the game. You nailed it, dude. It's so much more than the football. It's not, well, which teams are playing. It's the commercials. It's the halftime show. I mean, my daughter, who's 8, was interested this year because of Taylor Swift.
Just because she was going to be in the crowd.
Just because Taylor Swift's boyfriend is on one of the teams, and that's become a part of pop culture knowledge, so she was interested in watching it. See, Iowa Norseman even says, he confirms, he says, I'm in Florida and I miss Iowa.
No, he doesn't say that.
Betty says,
when we are in Florida, I do not miss Iowa.
No, it's not. Huh?
Huh?
Oh.
But I would say I even fall into that cultural phenomenon when it comes to the Super Bowl. I would say the Super Bowl was maybe one of games I watched from kickoff to end. Didn't miss a play.
In the NFL this year, that's a good point.
In the NFL.
I don't think Travis, me as well. I'm not much of an NFL fan. But dude, that also shows the bubble.
Yeah.
You know, there's that thing of life ends at the end of your fingertips. If it's not affecting me, if it's not getting to my circle, and college football inundates my circle, and I love it. And that's where that extra time gets spent with Hawkeyes and Cyclones and Grandview and Drake and, you know what I mean? All of those little things. At the Super Bowl party, my buddy Aaron says, Ross, who's your favorite football team? I don't really have one. If I have to pick one, it's the Bears. And he goes, man, I feel the exact same way. We're at his house watching a Super Bowl party with a dozen people.
But I actually like watching the Super Bowl when I have no emotional attachment to it.
Again, it's beyond, and again, like it's a game you watch from kickoff all the way through the end of post-game to watch the commercial for the Rush.
The last commercial in the post-game show.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Ronan wants to know, or Mr. Onan. Oh, I bet that's Corey. Is it the number of views you referenced? Is that worldwide or is that just America?
I believe that's worldwide. Because it's taking into account where you're streaming.
Then okay.
That's still a big number.
It's a huge number. I'm not taking away from the number. I will say that does kind of change it in my head. It just, and I don't know why, but it does. It's like, well, now we're talking about 126 million out of 8 billion.
But let's be honest. It's kind of like, everybody says when we talk about soccer, most of the soccer views when they talk about the ratings it get are from the other side of the pond.
Yeah.
But I would say the majority of the viewers worldwide were here in the States, and if not, Americans watching overseas.
Yeah. Trav, we should talk, because this conversation about how they actually tabulate those numbers and how they come up with 126 million. I had a conversation yesterday. A guy was asking me about the old, basically, how did we know how many people were listening to the radio? Because now we know exactly how many people are listening to the number. We know how many people are listening through all the different streams. And he's asking, how does this compare to radio? I said, I can explain to you the unbelievably archaic method that's used.
Yes.
Like caveman, Stone Age type of Pony Express method. We would not get our numbers for radio until, what was it, Travis, 3 months later or 6 months?
3 months later, and it was all dependent on where they sent a book that you were expected to fill out.
Through the mail.
inside baseball here. I can watch right now and see how many people are watching on YouTube, who are watching on Twitter, who are listening to the stream at therushradio.com. And even to go so far on the stream on therushradio.com, I can narrow it down to the state you're listening from.
Travis sends us out each week, has sent us out the percentage of male to female. It's incredible how granular we can get with the data instantaneously. Yes. So,
and I think that's good for advertisers.
Oh,
right?
Great! It's wonderful to be able to talk to people about it. Awesome.
Yeah, we're able to. I can tell you the age group, specifically the age group, and you don't have to wait 3 months for a ratings book to come out. You just here it is.
This what happened today.
You know. And it's an ego check too, because when day one of the show, we're like, yeah, look at all the people watching, and Ross is like, we're gonna have a high, then we're gonna have a low, then we're gonna go back up, and that's exactly what's happened.
Rostradamus, baby, Rostradamus.
But the low wasn't as bad as I thought.
The high was way higher than we thought. The low was not as low as we thought, and now we're gonna So thank you everybody. Also, that's why the like and subscribe. And share with your friends and tell people how to find us, because changing habits is hard, but we're trying. We're trying. This is us trying.
Somebody wrote on Facebook yesterday, they were like, oh, this is going to be pretty hard to get off the ground. I go, no, it's been pretty easy to get off the ground. It's just maintaining and changing your listening habits, and in some cases viewing habits. But I think it helps that, the show is live, but it's also available in many places 24/7. And the interesting part is I sit here and watch, especially the replay of the show on the podcast channels, the number of people that go back several days and listen to shows. I'm like, they're so dated. I can't go back and listen to like something that happened like 4 days ago. It shocks me.
I think people hit it by mistake.
You think so?
I think people hit it by mistake. Yeah. Have you ever I remember this has happened a few times in my life, so I don't want to call out anybody specifically because it can happen, I think, to a lot of people. Have you ever accidentally thought you were watching a game and turned out you were watching a highlight of a previous game? So this is something that can happen with the digital world we live in right now, right? Go to YouTube TV or go to Hulu and you type in Iowa State basketball. And then you hit around and you click, and all of a sudden you're watching the game. You're like, oh, okay, yep, here it is. Here's the game. I didn't know we were playing Auburn tonight. How the hell are we playing Auburn in the middle of the season? And then you realize, or more specifically, hey, you want to watch Caitlin Clark? Here, Caitlin Clark's playing right now, and they turned on a Caitlin Clark game, and man, Caitlin is just on fire. She's literally hitting every shot down the court.
And then you're like, she's in an Iowa uniform. I thought she played for the Indiana Fever.
Wait, what the hell are we watching here? Oh, this is one of those 60-minute highlight packages that looks just like a game. So I think occasionally people, anyway.
Casey says she actually goes back purposely to listen to the show from days ago due to FOMO, fear of missing out.
Well, thanks, Casey.
Yeah, you're not missing.
When you go back and listen to this show, you'll see your comment.
Ross is just downright mean. He goes, the worst part of listening now is having to look at two bald dudes. Well, Ross isn't bald. Look he's got a full head of hair on him.
Pretty bald.
Okay, he might be bald. Definitely two guys.
If I just do this, I don't look that bald, Ross. Jerk. Why are our friends so mean to us, dude?
I have no idea why people are so damn mean. They don't have to be that mean. Again, it's just out there for the world. We're live. Personally, I love the YouTube, but I'd love for everybody to go to therushradio.com and listen on the stream, because I think it's the best audio. It's a better listening experience. But any way you consume us, we very much appreciate it. 515-517-2303. That is the number to call if you want to participate in the show. And we are here till 8 o'clock today. It's good to have you along. Yeah, go ahead.
I like Chris's comment. We learned it from listening to you two. Why are you guys so mean? We learned it by watching you, okay? Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Very much appreciated. It is the Rush Radio Show at therushradio.com.
Is something in your attic keeping you up at night? Don't let unwanted guests take over your home. With over 20 years of experience, Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions is Central Iowa's trusted expert in fast, effective, eco-friendly wildlife solutions at a fair price. We safely remove bats, squirrels, raccoons, birds, and more so you can sleep soundly again. For a free estimate, call Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions today at 515-218-3400.
My name's Quinn LaFrenz, and I'm a sales consultant here at Willis Infinity. It's February, which means love is in the air, and we have great deals for you here, including our most popular model, the QX60. We have 2.9% up to 60 months, and this Stealth Wrapper one has an additional $5,000 off. And our all-new redesigned 2025 QX80 has $3,000 in conquest on top of additional savings. With that, you still qualify for the 2.9% APR up to 60 months. For more information, visit us in the showroom or visit us online at willisinfinity.com.
You know, Brian, at Central City, we really do have the best selection around.
I know, high quality stuff you can't find anywhere else.
Whistle Pig Plantation Rum.
Yeah, and over 150 of the best scotches on earth.
And a ton of bitters, mixers, and more.
You know what we are? High class.
Definitely high class, yeah.
Make way for the natty.
Okay, maybe medium class.
Central City Liquors, home of the 10% cash coupon.
And the Wooden Nickel program.
The largest selection of German beer in the world? You'll find it at the Hessen House. From Doppelbocks to Oktoberfest to Hefeweizens and Dunkels, there's no passport needed for the deliciously different beer and food at the Hessen House. So grab your friends and make it a fun night out. The Hessen House, 4th and Court, Des Moines.
With over 260 beers on tap, El Bait Shop isn't just another craft beer bar. It's the best. Beer lovers know. El Bait Shop, 200 Southwest 2nd, Des Moines.
You've dreamed about an absolutely organized garage or closet? See it for yourself at Absolute Garage and Closet's beautiful showroom in Urbandale. See the latest in garage storage, custom closet systems, and epoxy flooring applications up close, and imagine how good it will feel to have your garage, closets, or other spaces absolutely organized. Free consultations, friendly service, and quick project turnarounds, Absolute Garage and Closets is ready to bring peace of mind into your home. Visit Absolute Garage and Closets at 3169 99th Street in Urbandale or at absolutegarage.net.
Welcome back to the Rush Radio Show at therushradio.com. Don't forget the Home and Garden Show in Des Moines going on this weekend, and our good buddy Corey at Bats and Bugs is going to be hanging out at the Home and Garden Show. Go up and say hi, say, hey, you got a bat, you got a raccoon, you got a rodent, you got some bugs, and say, I need that to take care of. You're going to get a 10% discount on your very first service by using Bats and Bugs. They got a lot of good stuff.
Here's something I think Corey would want us to tell people about also is he is like an animal lover. I know that sounds like
his dad was a vet. His dad was a vet.
Yeah. He's a very smart guy and very much an animal lover. So like we had a guy earlier that was, when we were talking about real estate, said, what about a mouse infestation? Is that something that has to be disclosed? If you are dealing with a mouse infestation, Corey can help you out with that, but he's not going to poison the mice or rats. He is going, because he doesn't want your cat or dog to then eat that poisoned animal, right? So
catch and release, right? Catch and release.
Well, he's got other ways. I think there are deterrents and things they can do. I mean, again, talk to an expert. That's why we have him on.
What I think is cool, it's a family-owned business, right? And it's locally owned, which is super cool. But they are environmentally conscious.
Yeah.
They use solar-powered electric cars. So they use electric vehicles powered by solar energy.
And he's a fisherman. Remember one of the first days we had a listener call in, and he said, "Hey Ross, thanks a lot for telling me about Ballard's Resort, my spot right here. Thanks for telling me about Ballard's Resort. I took my family up there. We had an awesome time ice fishing." That was Corey.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, awesome dude, outdoorsy guy, but all of that stuff environmentally conscious.
So
one other thing about a sponsor I want to throw in real quick, okay? Because I've been meaning to say this, and we are late to the game on this because today is the 11th. Valentine's Day is coming up quickly. Friday, I want to do something special. In fact, this was actually another person's idea, but I don't want to out them for it. Okay, but here's the idea. Central City Liquors. Dana at Central City Liquors is one of our biggest fans. All right. I think it would be neat, or this friend of ours thought it would be neat, if we had our listeners that go to Central City Liquors take some sort of Valentine to Dana. Some trinket, some little trinket, even if it's just a little card or
a little
something.
box of candy hearts where you can write Happy Valentine's Day.
Tiny. Even if you bought something there and said, "Hey Dana, this is from thanks for this is a Happy Valentine's from a Rush listener." So I thought that a friend of ours thought that would be a fun thing to do, to just inundate her with stuff. So when you see Dana at Central City Liquors, tell her, "Hey, part of the Rush Army with you."
Rush Rebels or whatever.
Rush Rebels, whatever. Yeah. Got to come up with something.
Ryan wants to know if I'm going to get Anjanette something for the kitchen again. Well, here's the deal. I wanted to bring this up about acceptable behavior in the home. Okay, with just nobody else here but your wife, and I have one child in the house now. It's my house. I feel comfortable in my house. And, we're getting ready for dinner last night, and we're just sitting there, and all of a sudden I went, and I just ripped one. I just let a big old fart go. And they were disgusted by it. And I'm like, what? I go, I had to release pressure and gas within my body. I go, you guys know me better than anybody. Is it not acceptable behavior to fart in your own home in front of your wife and kids? I mean,
I'm a very gassy guy.
Yes.
But I'm trying to get Audrey's a very gassy little girl.
Well, I know you left the microphone the other day when we were cutting our Super Bowl commercial, and Audrey farted in Eli's face. Now, I didn't see it. I heard it because Eli lost his mind and just thought it was rude. I thought it was funny because you have an 8-9-year-old girl just farting in her brother's face.
I had gone to the store to get the Coke.
Yes, you went to get the Coke.
And we left the camera on.
Yeah. I'm being told if you hold your farts, your body absorbs it and will eventually come out of your mouth. Take your pick. I would rather fart than belch. I get no more satisfaction in life than farting. That is one of my great joys that I do on a daily basis. Just letting one go. Not at the dinner table. We were just in the kitchen. They were making dinner. And I just happen to let one go. Or I'm walking out of the room to go get, a glass of water. And right before I get out the door, I expel the gas. And it's like, can't you wait till you're in the other room? Well, to me, a fart is spontaneous. I don't plan my farts. I just, when they're there, I release them. It's that simple.
To a point, right? I'm kind of with Kirk on this, and this is what I was getting at with the conversation with
Audrey. Yeah,
there's a time and a place. There is a time and a place, and the dinner table, not the place.
Depends on the conversation that's going on.
No, it does not. No, unless the conversation is, "Hey, I wonder who can fart the loudest right now," or something like that. But that shouldn't be a conversation for the dinner table.
Kimber says the rule in their house is not in the kitchen or at the dinner table.
Love it, Kimber.
But hold on.
Can I add a
You've
third
seen
one?
my kitchen, Ross. It's a kitchen/living room.
It is. It's a cavernous kitchen living room area. You're right. It is. You're kind of in an adjacent area of the kitchen right now. It's huge. You're right. So if you can get away with it, I guess, as part, this is one of those, only follow the rules that Don't worry about the stupid rules.
And by the way, this happens in every. I don't care how prim and proper you are. This happens in every household.
It's kind of like hotel rooms. You don't really want to know what's happened before you walked in. Okay. You're
515 517.
Not. I like the not around food. Can I add a third one to that?
Sure.
Though? Because here's another one. You're walking through a parking lot.
Oh, those are the best ones.
It's windy. It's right. And then all of a sudden you get into the car and fart. Come on.
It didn't
you were
come
right there next to the. You could have farted outside.
It didn't hit me until I got. See, what happened was when I turned my body and compressed it down in my sitting motion, that forced it down. As I was walking upright.
That's a viable excuse, I guess. I'll give you that, and that has happened. I've been guilty of that. What I mean is the sit down, then you're like, oh.
My daughter chimes in down in Water Valley, Mississippi. Not everyone has lingering biohazards like you.
Oh, dude. During sound off sometimes, holy cow. I was worried about the equipment. I was worried. Luckily, they have all the wires have this rubber coating on them, but sometimes even the rubber would start to peel off. You'd be like, it's decaying. We need save the equipment.
Who's joining us on the phone? Who is this?
It's Mazer. You're right in my wheelhouse topic.
It's up there, Mazer.
Hey, I bet you're the type of guy that doesn't turn the fan on either in the bathroom after you drop the deuce, do you?
Well, that's one of the bigger arguments, is because we have this really touchy fan that you have to go down, up, down in a slow motion because it's like it senses.
And that's too much for you? That's too much?
And I'm not a long pooper, all right? I like to get in there. I like to get my business done and get out. I'm not one that's going to spend a half hour in there, right? So I get in, get out. And I'm like, you know what? I flushed quick. The smell's not going to linger that much.
Have you ever done the old trick to Aunt Jeanette where you're laying in bed next to her and you ask her, hey, I bet I can spit on the ceiling, and when she puts her head underneath the blanket, you'll rip one?
No, I don't Dutch oven my wife. I don't do that.
Did you say, I bet I can spit on the... Hold on. Your trick to get your wife's head under the blanket is to say, watch, I can spit on the ceiling?
Spit and hit the ceiling, and when you go, then she puts her head underneath, you rip one.
No, I haven't done that.
Mazer's playing chess. Oh.
We're playing checkers. We're playing checkers.
Follow me for more tricks.
All right, Mazer. Thanks, buddy.
Later.
Glad to know the phone line works. Our biggest technical issue getting on the air every day is Ross just sits and laughs at me as I hook up the phone line.
Every day. It's hilarious. Oh, Mr. Otten, I love this. This is a good one. He says, we call Dutch ovens COVID checks in our house. You get that? Because if you can't smell.
Yeah. All these people are coming in are saying what Christine says. My cousin did that to me. Oh, you're in bed with your cousin, and he's saying I'm going to spit on the ceiling?
When you're kids. See, when we were talking about farting earlier, my brother used to fart on my leg. Whenever somebody talks about farts, I have this PTSD moment of being on car trips. We were talking about being in the car earlier with Dad smoking. And all of it kind of meshed together in this one big memory of my brother. I had to sit in the middle because I was the youngest kid, and I was, my butt was that big, so they made me sit on the little hump in the middle. And my brother, who was 4 years older than me, would sit on my leg. And if you've never had somebody fart on you, you can feel their butt cheeks vibrate.
Christine says, she and we were kids. Hold on. Yeah. It wasn't even a male cousin? It was a female cousin?
That makes it better. What do you mean?
But you know what it just proves to me? Girls are just as bad as boys.
Yes.
Girls are just as crude and filthy as boys are. We just openly talk about it.
I had an epiphany earlier.
What was that?
So I woke up and somebody had sent me, one of our listeners had sent me an article through Golf Digest.
Oh, yeah.
That was going through the different chapsticks, like, does lubing the face of the club actually work? This is a Golf Digest article.
Can I hold you real quick?
Yeah.
I don't want to make these people wait.
No, that's fine. Yeah, if we got calls, let's do that.
Yeah.
I'd rather do that.
515-517-2303. Andy, welcome to the Rush Radio Show. What's going on, Andy?
Good morning, guys. Hey, I've had several coups d'etats over the course of my lifetime, and most of them involve leaving an elevator with people still on it.
Oh. Man, that's mean. That's just downright mean, farting in the elevator. There's two things I don't like: farting in the elevator with other people in it, and farting in the grocery store as you turn the corner into the next aisle, and you just leave it lingering for everybody. You done, Andy? Is that all you got? Guess so.
That's all I got.
All right.
But you also want to make sure that there's people that you don't like on the elevator too.
Wow.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate it.
Oh. There was a moment on the daddy-daughter dance on Friday night, and we're sitting there dancing, and all of a sudden I was like, "Oh, some dude just dropped ass." That's bad. And you saw little girls all of a sudden
moving away. Doing the shuffle. Dad, let's shuffle. We're going to shuffle here. God, I cannot believe how many people are discussing the farts in their own homes.
But everybody farts.
So you were talking about greasing up the shaft, and we're talking about the golf club shaft.
It's not greasing up the shaft.
Oh, that's what I heard you say.
No.
Oh, you mean the club
I didn't
face.
ever say that. You know that's not it. You were talking about greasing up the shaft. No, it turns out it wasn't.
But we've been fans of greasing the shaft for a long time.
Travis, it's the face of the club. It's face of the driver.
Okay, face of the driver.
When you and you say we have been, I used to be. I haven't done it for a couple of years, and I'm hitting the ball farther, but not as straight. So anyway, Golf Digest apparently decided it was finally time, after decades of people knowing about this thing, that they should actually do like a study on it and see what the effects are. And so this guy sent me the article because he knew that we used to talk about it. And just to kind of cut through the noise of it, they basically came to the conclusion that you and I have told people for a long time. It does not add distance to the drives. It keeps it dead straight. Dead straight. You will hit the ball down the middle of the fairway. And so if you are just out there to have fun, and you're not competing with your friends, and you're just trying to not lose golf balls and enjoy your day, and part of your frustration is that your driver goes, 150 yards
I'm a slicer.
Right.
I am a slicer.
I used to be too. You can, first of all, keep working on it, and you'll get to the point where you don't need that. But in the meantime, you can lower the hoop a little bit and dunk until you learn how to dunk.
Yes.
Lower the hoop by putting some Vaseline, or they put Pam. They do a whole bunch of different stuff. Chapstick, car wax. They do a whole bunch of different things.
You can use sunscreen. I've used
all sorts
sunscreen.
of things. Right. But it got me thinking about something. I had this epiphany.
Okay.
Right? Because the Golf Digest article kind of says the quiet part out loud. It says, golf, we're all these men of honor. It's the game, what do they call it? The gentleman's game. And you've got to be...
Play by the rule. It's where it's a what do they call it when you follow the rules? It's the honor system.
Yep. But then, in the article, it basically says, but we all know that's BS. We all know that we're all out there cheating. It got me thinking about that. Like, it's weird how golfers, and I'm not stereotyping, because I both golf and fish. But golfers will do that. Golfers will, how many did you get on that hole? I got a 4. Dude, you hit your driver into the pond.
Oh, that never counts.
That's right. So golfers will lie and fudge to make their friends think they're better than they are. Fishermen lie the other way. Fishermen, if I ask a guy, hey, if I'm in a group of guys and a dude says, I say, hey man, how'd you do when you went fishing the other day? Not well. Man, we caught a couple bluegill, caught a crappie, but nope, didn't see any walleye, anything like that. Then you walk away and you get that guy private, and then he goes, hey, I caught a bucket full of crappie and I got like 9 walleye. Fishermen lie the other. It's weird. It's weird. Fishermen lie to each other. They will say, hey, how was that spot? Man, I didn't catch anything. Didn't you ask me for a fish fry? Oh, those are from my buddy.
Why is that?
Because they don't want fishermen to get to their spot. They don't want another guy to go and fish their spot. Dude, when we're fishing on the island, you show up for lunch and another boat pulls up and they got a boat full of walleye. And you're like, dude, where'd you catch those? In the lake? No, like where in the lake? Oh, right under our boat.
See, I look at a fishing spot to be a lot like a slot machine. It's going to hit for a while, and then it's not going to hit.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right, but there's a gambling thing. Does a gambler actually tell his buddies, hey, you know which slot machine is hot right now? You know which loose slot? They might tell their buddy that they want to go catch the fish, but they're not going to tell everybody. I don't know. Anyway.
I haven't used the grease on the club face for a long time.
Neither have I.
But I think I need to, just because my slice is coming back. And the slice is just a matter of, moving your feet a half an inch one way.
Whatever. It's a science, and I don't understand it.
As long as you're having fun golfing, that's all that matters.
That's what Jason said. A golf is supposed to be fun. I've always said this. It's not legal to grease the club. It's also not legal to lower the hoop in the NBA. I'm not playing in the NBA, and it's more fun if it's 7 foot and I can jump up and dunk.
Well, golf is supposed to be fun. It's not fun when you're not hitting the ball straight and you're spraying it, 75 yards to the right.
Not just not fun for you. I get more. The frustration for me is I know it's not fun for the other 3 guys I'm with.
Yes.
They've got to drive through the woods to help me find a golf ball.
Yeah, when you call your buddy and say, what'd you do today? I went golfing. Oh, you didn't invite me? That's them saying, we didn't want to golf with you because you suck.
Remember last time we went and you shot a 137 and it took us 6 hours?
Your buddies would rather have you hit the ball dead straight for 110 yards than 200 yards sprayed to the right where they got to go look for the golf ball. Because you can just step up and hit it. 515-517-2303. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap up today's show because, well, we can. It is the Rush Radio Show powered by Willis Automotive.
If you have a pest problem with over 20 years of experience, Bats and Bugs Pest Solutions is Central Iowa's local expert in fast, effective, eco-friendly pest solutions at a fair price for your home or business. Call us today at 515-218-3400.
Believe it or not, spring is coming. When it does, be absolutely organized with custom garage or closet systems from Absolute Garage and Closets. Turn a winter mess into a spring success at our showroom in Urbandale or visit absolutegarage.net.
Hey, I'm Mason out here at Mini of Des Moines, one of the motor advisors. Currently this month, love is in the air, and what better way than the all-electric Countryman SE. Right now, we are doing a $499 a month, $499 down lease special. One last big thing that we have this month is for the two-door hardtops, we are doing up to 60 months, 299% rate. So for more information, stop at our showroom. Come see me. We're happy to get that information going. Or see us on our mini website, miniofdesmoines.com.
Believe it or not, spring is coming. When it does, be absolutely organized with custom garage or closet systems from Absolute Garage and Closets. Turn a winter mess into a spring success at our showroom in Urbandale or visit absolutegarage.net.
Make sure to listen to the Rush Radio Show all day long at therushradio.com. That's where you can check it out. I'm Travis Justice. He is Ross Peterson. Happy Tuesday to you. Going to be cold today. Going to be snowy if you're in central Iowa. So drive safe. That first snow, that first real snow, people get stupid. They just get real stupid. I like driving in the snow, but I'm one of those that can get stupid.
I'm still not seeing anything flying here in Des Moines, but man, in that first hour, we had somebody say they already had a quarter-inch up in Ames. Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh.
I've got a dusting right now as I looked out the window. I've got a dusting, but it's supposed to come in. See, Jim Tressel, former Ohio State coach, is now the lieutenant governor of the state of Ohio.
I hadn't seen that. And I'll be honest, Travis, when I first saw that name, it took me a half a beat. I was like, I know that name. Oh, the sweater guy.
Sweater guy.
It took me there. I saw Jim Tressel. And it was just this quarter beat in my head of like, Jim Tressel, football, Ohio State, sweater. Oh, yeah. It wasn't instantaneous like it had, he used to be Nick Saban. He had a moment.
Yes. And if it wasn't for tattoos and stuff being given and or traded out, he'd probably still be the head coach at Ohio State.
All stuff that that now we look back on and go, I mean, again, history will look at that and go, he did what wrong? His legacy was ruined because he let kids, and again, all stuff that was against the rules, but, I was screaming at the time, this stuff shouldn't be against the rules. But amateurism, man, how dare we jeopardize all of that? And again, those same people are now the ones going, see, this, now because we let them do that, now look at what we've got today. Yeah, we let these kids actually get what they might be worth and some of the stuff they want.
I mean, his reputation in coaching was essentially ruined for a couple of years, but he never got back into coaching. Kelvin Sampson, who has always been one to break the rules, of course, what happened at Oklahoma, then again at Indiana. He got a show cause from the NCAA for stuff that is basically legal now. Now, he's resurrected his coaching career at Houston, but that guy was tarnished goods for a number of years.
Trav. Dude, we spent last week, we talked about Rick Pitino. Yeah. Rick Pitino did stuff that was way worse. Way worse than Jim Tressel. Am I missing something with Jim Tressel, right? His stuff was like impermissible benefits to kids, right?
Yeah,
but it wasn't strippers at
No, it was like Terrell Pryor was trading like Ohio State gear for tattoos.
Yeah. And
And that was, oh my God. What's funny about it is you look back and the people that were incensed by it, all the difference makers in the college football writing world, like, oh my God, this is a travesty.
Yeah. Pearl clutching, Trav. That's the term for that.
Go look at when COVID came out and how many of those national writers like, how dare we play college football this season?
We're killing kids, Travis.
You're killing kids.
You don't care about people. You're killing kids. Yeah, a lot of that.
And now people are like, oh, it's great that we're playing. They ignore what they wrote during COVID, and they ignore what they wrote 5-6 years ago when money was. When benefits were taking place. Now it's like, well, who's navigating the NIL world? These kids deserve it. And to your credit, Ross, you were on top of this long before I jumped on board. You've been beating this drum. I'm always late to adapt. You are so far ahead of the race that sometimes you come off, well, that Ross is extreme. You just have that ability to see way down the road.
And it's funny, when we had Dr. Steve Ditmore on with us in that first hour, Trav, one of the things I've said, I've always prefaced it by saying, I know this sounds crazy and blasphemous to a lot of you, but someday we're going to disassociate athletics and academics. Someday we're going to disassociate an academic institution from a sports team. We're going to separate those things. Dr. Steve Ditmore was kind of in a softer way was starting that conversation in the first hour, saying, "Hey, by the way, this is what's going to happen with football. It's going to break off. There's a piece of the Lego tower falling. We've all seen what happens next."
You just blew people's minds because people who picked up it just recently in the last couple of minutes or this hour going, hold on, you guys had academia brought onto this show? Well, we had
you
to
were just talking farts.
We had to yes. You guys were just talking about farting in the kitchen, and you had an academic on. And if you missed it, it's a really good interview. So go back on the podcast or re-listen at therushladio.com or go back and watch the replay on YouTube. It started off talking about college wrestling, a really good conversation there, went into football, and then the book he wrote, the Forgotten Dodger, Jim Gilliam, it's a fascinating story, which I believe you don't have to be a Dodger fan. You can be a baseball fan and appreciate.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what? It might be movie material. Who knows? This might be a movie that comes out in a couple of years. Well, thank you so much for listening to the Rush Radio Show. A quick reminder to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give this video a like. Follow us on X at Rush Mornings. And, of course, like our Facebook page. You can listen to the Rush Radio Show 24/7 at therushladio.com. Just hit that listen live link or subscribe to the podcast where the replay is available. For Ross Peterson, I'm Travis Justice. We will talk to you tomorrow morning on the Rush Radio Show.